It was a crisp winter morning when everything I knew about life and faith shattered. My name is Leila Hassan, and at 41 years old, I considered myself a devout Muslim, living what I thought was a fulfilling life. I was a wife, a mother of two, and the proud owner of a thriving bakery in Dearborn, Michigan, where my community's love for fresh halal pastries kept me busy from sunrise to sunset. My days were a blend of family, faith, and work, punctuated by the rhythm of daily prayers. But what happened on that January day would forever change my understanding of faith, salvation, and truth itself. It began as a normal Saturday. My husband, Omar, had gone to the mosque for fire prayer, and our teenage daughter, Amira, was still asleep. I was preparing breakfast for our younger son, Sami, who had just turned 8. The weather forecast had warned of icy conditions, but we decided to go sledding at the park nearby. Sami's laughter echoed as we sped down the slopes, his red scarf trailing behind like a comet. I was reminded of Allah's blessings, the beauty of family, and the joy of simple moments. The accident happened so suddenly that I barely had time to react. Sami had climbed to the top of the steepest hill, and as I followed to ensure his safety, my foot slipped on an unseen patch of ice. My body was launched into a chaotic tumble, and I hit the frozen ground with a sickening crack. The pain was instantaneous, radiating from my back and head. Then everything went black. When I awoke, I wasn't in the snow but in a place of profound darkness. I couldn't see my body, yet I felt more aware than ever before. It was as though my soul had been stripped of all earthly constraints. I sensed a pull, a force drawing me toward a swirling vortex. Panic gripped me as the weight of my sins and regrets pressed against my consciousness. Every harsh word, every selfish act, every doubt I had buried deep inside came rushing to the forefront of my mind. Then came the voice, a low, mocking tone that seemed to emanate from the vortex itself. Leila Hassan, you who prayed 5 times a day and followed the path so faithfully, where is your faith now? The voice dripped with malice, and I realized it wasn't a question but an accusation. I tried to cry out to Allah, to recite verses from the Quran, but my words dissolved into the void. The darkness gave way to a dim, hellish light, revealing a desolate landscape. The ground was cracked and glowing with molten fire. Around me were countless figures, writhing in agony, their screams filling the air. Some were dressed in clothing I recognized as traditional Islamic attire, while others wore garments from different cultures and faiths. A chilling realization settled over me. These were people who had lived their lives in deception, just as I had. Suddenly, a figure approached. At first, I thought it was the Prophet Muhammad, as his features matched the descriptions I had learned. But as he drew nearer, his form twisted and distorted, his eyes void of light. "Welcome, Leila," he said, his voice a harsh rasp. "You followed my teachings with such devotion. Now you will reap their fruit." "No!" I screamed. "This can't be real. You are the Prophet." "You are." He laughed, the sound like shattering glass. "I am the one who led you astray, as I led billions before you. The truth was always before you, but you chose to reject it." As his words sank in, the ground beneath me split open. I fell through layers of torment, each worse than the last. I saw imams, scholars, and devoted followers enduring unspeakable suffering. Their cries echoed with regret, "We were wrong. We were deceived." The horror of their pain burned into my soul. Finally, I landed on a plain of utter desolation. A figure of light appeared in the distance, radiating an indescribable purity. As it approached, the torment around me seemed to retreat. It wasn't just light, it was life itself. I knew immediately who it was, Jesus Christ. Not the prophet Isa I had been taught about, but the Lord of Lords, the Son of God. His presence overwhelmed me with love and holiness, exposing every lie I had believed. I fell to my knees, unable to meet his gaze. "Lord, I was wrong," I whispered, my voice shaking. "I rejected you. I led others to reject you. How can there be any hope for me?" He knelt beside me and placed his hand on my shoulder. "Layla, you were blind, but now you see. Your life is not over. You will return and tell others the truth." Before I could respond, he touched my forehead, and everything dissolved into white light. I awoke in the hospital, gasping for air. The beeping of machines filled the room, and my body ached from head to toe. Omar was by my side, clutching my hand and murmuring prayers in Arabic. My heart broke knowing he was praying to a God who couldn't hear him. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of recovery and reflection. I couldn't bring myself to tell my family what I had experienced, fearing their reaction. I began secretly reading the Bible, devouring every word as if my life depended on it. Each verse confirmed what Jesus had shown me: salvation wasn't earned through rituals or good deeds but was a gift of grace through faith in Him. When I finally mustered the courage to tell Omar, his reaction was as I feared. He accused me of being delusional, blaming the trauma and medication. Our once loving relationship became strained as he refused to entertain the possibility that I had encountered the truth. My children were confused and hurt, especially Amira, who called me a traitor to our faith. The backlash from our community was swift and severe. Friends and family distanced themselves, and our bakery was vandalized with graffiti calling me an apostate. But amidst the pain, small glimmers of hope emerged. A few curious souls began reaching out in secret, asking about my experience and the Jesus I had encountered. One of them was my neighbor, a lifelong Muslim who had harbored doubts for years. Through late-night conversations and shared prayers, she too found salvation. Over time, my family's anger softened, though reconciliation was slow. Omar eventually agreed to attend church with me, if only to understand the changes in me. The moment he stepped inside and heard the words of the gospel, I saw a flicker of recognition in his eyes. It would take months, but he eventually confessed his faith in Christ. Our children followed, one by one, each with their own journey of questioning and discovery. Today, our lives look very different. The VA lost friends, faced threats, and had to rebuild our business from scratch. But the joy of knowing the truth and sharing it with others outweighs every sacrifice. Our home has become a refuge for seekers, a place where questions are welcomed, and the love of Christ is shared freely. Every night, I thank Jesus for the second chance He gave me. I remember the horrors of hell and the countless souls trapped there, and it fuels my determination to share my testimony. If even one life is saved, if even one person finds the truth, it will all be worth it. My name is Layla Hassan, and this is my story. May it serve as a beacon for those still searching, a reminder that it's never too late to find the way, the truth, and the life.